The senior agent, Ben Grogan, was really revered by agents in New York and here and in Florida and other places where he served. Jerry Dove was a young agent. He had a very promising career. He did all the right things. He was our kind of person, and we're going to miss him badly.
Good evening. The voice you just heard was that of FBI Director William Webster, recorded late today in Washington. The scene was South Dade, recorded this morning, just after the shootout that residents of a normally quiet neighborhood will remember the rest of their lives. The two special agents Webster was referring to were killed in that shootout. 53-year-old Benjamin Grogan, a 25-year FBI veteran, and 30-year-old Jerry Dove, who had been with the FBI for 4 years. Two suspects were also killed in the 10 to 15-minute exchange. 5 special agents were wounded. By the time television cameras arrived, the calm efficiency of law enforcement cleanup had begun. Yet beyond the hushed voices of authority, bloody, riddled evidence of the melee still startled the eye and screamed at all the senses.
We kept looking, where is it coming from? We couldn't see where it was coming from.
It began when agents spotted a car with license plates matching those of a vehicle used in a series of bank and armored car robberies. Agents called for backups. When they arrived, an effort was made to pull over the suspect's car, but the suspects bailed out and began firing.
But it appears that they were armed with at least one automatic weapon, capable of firing approximately 30 rounds in a single cartridge container, and one shotgun that appears to have been modified to carry additional shells.
The wounded FBI agents were taken to 2 separate hospitals. Special Agent Edmund Morales is in serious but stable condition at South Miami Hospital tonight. Special Agents Gordon McNeil and John Hanlon are in the same condition at Baptist Hospital. Richard Manuzzi and Gilbert Orentia were treated and released from Baptist. As for the dead suspects, law officers believe they had no other accomplices today. News 4's Luann Kahn learned more about them at a joint FBI Metro-Dade news conference at Baptist Hospital a short time ago. She's ready now with a live report. Luann?
John, they've identified the 2 dead suspects as 32-year-old Michael Platt and 34-year-old William Matex, both of Miami. Police are trying to find out if these 2 men who managed to shoot 7 FBI agents today are the same men, the same notoriously violent pair that they've been looking for over a year. At this time, the FBI is looking for evidence that could connect the 2 to more than a dozen armored car holdups, the killing of 2 guards, and the shooting of 3 people at a West Dade rock pit. But so far, only the black Monte Carlo the suspects drove today can be linked to any other crimes.
The Monte Carlo that was used today was taken in a robbery on March 12th that occurred at a rock pit. The victim was shot 4 times and left for dead. Exactly 1 week after that, the same vehicle, the victim's vehicle, the vehicle that was on the scene today, was used in a bank robbery, in the commission of a bank robbery at 136th Street and South Dixie Highway, the Barnett Bank.
Officers say these composite sketches based on descriptions of the men responsible for one rock pit robbery do resemble the suspects. Now, the FBI and Metro-Dade police are continuing a joint investigation, and I understand at this hour they are continuing to gather evidence. John?
Thank you, Luann. As was indicated by Luann's report, there's been a whole rash of bank and armored car and other kinds of robberies in that section of Kendall in recent months. That is why FBI agents were checking the area today, part of the task force in cooperation with Metro-Dade police. But it is not likely residents have been aware of such an operation in their neighborhood. What they witnessed today must have seemed surrealistic. Their suburban environment suddenly shocked into a battleground of life and death. News 4's Ed Odell went back there tonight to talk to some of those people.
The dark of night and the passing of a few hours has sharpened the dream-like borders of that bizarre death scene. For witnesses, it seems not so surrealistic now, and what passed for courage as they watched today has turned to unnerving reality in retrospect.
It's starting to really hit my head what I really saw. You know, the 2 guys going down, the one bleeding, and the whole scene. This is when it really hit me, and my knees are starting to get a little shaky now.
It starts to sink in. This is not a camera. You know, this is not movie. This is not TV. This is for real, and that guy's gone.
Tonight, the scene is far from being quiet, with dozens of investigators still poring over evidence. But just a little more than 12 hours ago, this corner was a chaotic death trap. Bob Stebbins stood behind police lines for hours today, waiting to give a statement. He stood among the bodies, blood, the guns. As he reflects now, he knows why 2 gunmen killed and injured so many FBI agents. It was automatic weapons against service revolvers. It was firepower against a courageous call to duty.
But there's no contest. I mean, you know, 6 shots to 30. I mean, you could sit there and spray all day long, and they had all the ammunition. They could be down there shooting right now and still not run out.
Frustration has set in for both Bob and Billy. They wonder now if they could have done more to help the agents. In reality, they realize there was little they could do. Both know the bizarre events that mark this day will be with them for a while.
It's always there. Maybe it'll come up some other time, but you just kind of, adrenaline's flowing now, so you do what you got to do.
The first thing Bob had to do when he got home was to lower his flag to half-mast in honor of the agents he saw die. Ed Odell, News 4.
The shootout was played high in all of the network newscasts tonight, and it'll be in all the nation's papers tomorrow, adding to the country's perception of Miami as America's crime capital. But for what it's worth, FBI Director Webster defended Miami to Washington reporters today. Today's tragedy notwithstanding, quote, "To my mind, Miami has been improving its situation." The situation the U.S. faces with Libya is about the same as it was last night, though those 2 U.S. aircraft carrier battle groups in the Mediterranean are moving into position tonight, preparing for what seems to be retaliation against Libya for that West Berlin bombing last weekend. When President Reagan left for Camp David today, he was asked about reports of irrefutable evidence that Gaddafi was linked to the bombing. His reply, as far as most people are concerned, yes, that's true. Soviet Ambassador Anatoly Dobrinin also left Washington today with no plans to return anytime soon. He's headed back to Moscow to assume his new post as a high-ranking secretary to the Communist Party Central Committee. Before going, though, he said Secretary of State Schultz and the Soviet foreign minister will meet May 14th through the 16th to lay the groundwork for a summit. President Reagan and his wife Nancy have done the same thing as millions of other Americans. They have filed their 1985 tax return. The first couple paid more than $120,000 in federal income taxes, less than last year, and they're due a refund of almost $27,000. The Reagan's income for last year topped $290,000. Still ahead on News 4, the best spot to check out Halley's Comet in South Florida, plus a party cruise with some Comet diehards. News 4 continues in a minute. The best time to see Halley's Comet is getting earlier and earlier each night, and if you miss it this weekend, try your luck again in 76 years. News 4's John Holden has been on a Comet cruise all week. Tonight he gives us a recap and takes us to the best place to see Halley's in South Florida.
This was it, the climax to an entire week at sea in celebration of Halley's Comet. After 7 days of listening to lectures about Halley's Comet, of getting a tan for Halley's Comet,
I didn't even know about the Comet.
of eating Comet food, drinking Comet drinks, and dancing to Comet music in the biggest disco at sea.
From Bill Halley, or is that Bill Haley? And the Comets.
And after 168 hours of being on Comet alert, of waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and knowing exactly what to look for in the southern sky,
what you should look for is sort of an out-of-focus marshmallow.
I saw a fuzzball in the sky.
now comes the culmination to it all, the chance to be the comet, or any other related celestial object.
Halley White is the name, and the 7 comets. Snowflake or white or whatever it goes.
Yeah, I'm the sun. See, I got my sunglasses.
I'm the kissing comet.
As twin sisters, you always dress alike?
Yes.
Excuse me. What gives you the right to go up and kiss people?
I enjoy it.
You see, this is the Grand Comet Ball, the ship's way of wishing bon voyage to a week of cruising for the comet, whether you saw it or not.
Oh, I guess from another age I came to see them.
Penguins have to see the comet.
Antarctica?
What?
Only 2 of us saw it.
3 of us. I saw it. I was the first one.
It's a fuzzy little thing, and its tail goes up.
No, I haven't seen it. I wouldn't even know what to look for.
And when you still don't know what to even look for after 7 days of cruising for the comet, well, the world's largest cruise ship has the answer.
We are so excited. We have just received word that the comet has been seen and will be within sight in just a few short moments.
You give them a comet. What do you think makes a better show after 76 years? Halley's version of a comet, or what we'd like to see up there?
Looking at right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the real thing, Halley's Comet, live from Islamorada, Florida, via a video telescope. I'm right here right now in Islamorada at what's called the Sea Base Camp of the Boy Scouts. It's at mile marker 73.8. And we're here with about, I don't know if it's 4,000 people, but it's thousands of people who have come here tonight to not only see Halley's Comet, but to celebrate Halley's Comet. Is everybody having a good time yet? So where's your binoculars? Well, the reason they don't all have binoculars, a lot of them do, is because there's things like a Comet Mobile here with a video telescope, which, get this, has a telescope 60,000 times more light sensitive than a studio camera. So if you can't see it with your binoculars, well, you just sit back and watch it on TV. Now, this is the start of a 3-night Comet Festival, which is going on until Sunday night, and it'll be going on until 1 o'clock, which is the time for the brightest sighting of the comet. And if you want to get down here again, once more, it's at the mile marker 73.8, and it's going to be going on through Sunday. And if you want to find it, well, look for thousands of people looking up into the sky. Back to you, John.
Mile marker 73.8. Okay, John, thank you. Still ahead. Bob with the final word on our weekend weather, and it's the end of the line for a South Florida tradition. These stories and more as News 4 continues. Tonight, there is a twist in the Albert San Pedro corruption case. New evidence that 2 officials did not have a link to the reputed mobster. You may recall letters written by Congressman Claude Pepper and former Florida Attorney General Robert Shevin. The letters spoke glowingly about San Pedro and supported his bid for a pardon. Well, News 4 has obtained memos written after the letters, which show that both Pepper and Shevin told investigators the letters were mistakes. The memos were written well before San Pedro was tied to Dade County corruption. They were uncovered in parole commission files made public today. That is curious. A long-time Fort Lauderdale institution has closed its doors, and as News 4's Jose Grignan reports, the customers aren't the only ones who are upset.
After 27 years in business, the worst happened. Without any warning, Wolfie's restaurant closed its doors to employees and patrons.
I knew they were going to close, but I didn't think it was so soon. They closed up too fast.
And all of a sudden at 5:30 last night, they put the close sign on the door and told everybody to get out, just like if you was being evicted.
Many of the 70 employees say they were told to pick up their final paychecks today, but they were disappointed.
The owner of the property that was paying your paychecks isn't showing up, supposedly.
Employees said Wolfie's owners were forced to file bankruptcy because of financial problems. A spokesman for the building's landlord confirmed that.
I think they fell behind in the rent. But let's say 40, 50, I don't know, but it's all set. 40 or $50,000. Right.
But workers felt they had been betrayed and are now the victims.
Definitely. A 3-week victim.
Without a paycheck?
Mm-hmm.
Till they didn't get money, I don't get none. So now you're angry? Yeah, I'm hungry. I know hungry, I'm mad.
The owners of Wolfie's could not be reached for comment, but employees and patrons say this restaurant will surely be missed by many. Jose Grignan, News 4.
Okay, your turn. Good weather.
Yes, we're going to have a nice weekend. I wish I had a lot to tell you about it, but it's going to be quiet, and there's going to be plenty of sunshine, and you can go out in your boat and I'll play golf.
I don't have a boat. I'm going out with some friends.
Oh, well, Mark is going to play croquet, so he doesn't have to worry about it. Let's look at the currents right now. Temperatures over the area. It's going to be 68 in Miami. Miami Beach 71, Kendall 60, Fort Lauderdale 71, and West Palm Beach 66 degrees. The barometer right now is 29.95, rising, humidity 57%, the wind southwest today, temperature of the water 72, and the quality of the air in the moderate range, 62. Well, over the state today, it was just a gorgeous day, plenty of sunshine everywhere, temperatures mainly in the 70s with a few 80s. We had 81, Fort Myers had 80, and just about every place else in the 70s. Now, around the country, the cold air is over the north. New York was 45, Boston 47 degrees today. It was 66 in Chicago. Over the south, mainly in the 70s. Several areas in Texas, McAllen and Alice, also reported very high temperatures. They were just around 90 degrees, but They will record the high for the nation because the cool air has started to move into the north. That has pummeled temperatures up through that area, the southwest in the 80s, except again along the coast in the 60s. Now let's take a quick rip around the weather and see what's happening. Notice this large area. It's very, very quiet here. High pressure building in, the same for South Florida. So it looks like we're going to stay that way at least for a couple of days. High pressure will be protecting us. By Sunday, you'll see a few showers, nothing to worry about. A little bit of rain and snow left over the northeast as that storm system begins to pull out. Colder air is pumping into the nation. Their temperatures in the 20s for highs today, right along the extreme north, and that's going to seep into the center section with some snow through the northern areas of California, the mountain areas, and up through the northern Rockies, and some showers through the southwest. And as far as the weekend goes, it's going to be very nice. In case you miss Halley's Comet, there it is. Okay, now that's about it. Just if you're going to plan your weekend, look for mostly sunny skies. The high temperature about 80. The low overnight tonight will be about 64 degrees. And for boating, you'll find the seas tomorrow about 1 to 3 feet. Waters near shore, a light shop, and go on out there and have such a good time.
We'll try.
Okay.
Drinking and driving, as we all know, is dangerous. And South Plantation school officials believe it is never too soon to start educating students about just that fact. The school's group, Students Against Drunk Driving, SAD, held its second annual Celebration of Life tonight, a chance for middle and high school teenagers to take a moment to appreciate the joys of living. 500 red and white balloons were launched, each carrying messages about the hazards of drunken driving. Up next, a two-time Masters winner goes for a third win, and a Maine man sails home with a world record. News 4 continues.